insecurity is self-doubt. And we learn self-doubt. This is a learned mechanic that we have in our mind-body connection that comes from the early childhood programming or a significant emotional event. And so if we can look at these two things, that the early childhood programming is where we're just a sponge and we're soaking in everything. The environment, which translates to our status with our finance and our social status. We're learning from our peers. How do we need to be to fit into the peer group? Do they say we're too much and we need to suppress? Do they say we're not enough? And so then we try to overdo. We learn the programming in this 0 to 7 by how our parents treat us. We require the perfect unconditional love relationship from our parents so that we know what romantic love is, for the physical union between a life partnership, and also the union within the self, because our conscious mind is the masculine energetics and the subconscious mind is the feminine energetics. What do we do when we have a sperm and an egg? We have a new being. We have to have not gender, but energetic principle alignment of masculine and feminine energy united within us in order for us to have the sense of wholeness, to crush self-doubt, to move through self-doubt, knowing that we can do it. And so we're looking at how this stuff gets broken apart, and I'm looking at sharing with you how I've built myself back up to be able to navigate the emotions that come with being human.
Welcome to Queen Bold EQ podcast, where I share with you the mindset, energetics, emotional intelligence, and habits required to transform your health and manifest your dream body. I'm your host, Lauren Saracione, a 20-plus year fitness professional, lifelong entrepreneur, and I have self-healed my chronic pain and my emotional eating. And I am here to share with you the spiritual and the practical so you can transform your health and manifest your dream body.
Awesome. Okay. I have some announcements before we get going. I want to tell you about who is upcoming on the show. The next ladies that we have coming up, we've got Catherine Townsend. She is an amazing trauma-informed coach. She is a licensed, I was going to say physical therapist, she's not a physical therapist, marriage and family counselor. And she moved into the coaching space and the healing space. And so she's been doing that for a long time. Then we have Katie Fleece. Katie Fleece is a badass fitness entrepreneur. She just sold her gym. She lives in Indiana. Catherine's in Florida. Who else do we got? We've got Emily Kincata. She's on February 21st. She is incredible. She's also a business coach, formerly known as the launch babe. And she's just incredible. Her emotional intelligence is really high. We've got Jessica Battle that's on February 27th, and she is the queen of pep talks. She has her own podcast. You can actually look that up. Queen of Pep Talks, I think is her podcast name. So these are the ladies that we have coming up. We've got Jessica on February 27th. She'll be live 10 a.m. Pacific time right here on this page. February 21st at 6 p.m. That's when we've got Emily on. Monday, February 13th, we've got Katie. She's the one that's in fitness. And then Monday, February 6th, 10 a.m., we've got Catherine. So this is going to be super fun. I'm so excited to share these amazing ladies with you. So let's get into it. Today's podcast, we're already at podcast number 13. It's January 30th. I am so excited that we get to have these conversations so consistently. I have so much to say about energy and mental and emotional work that leads to that physical work. There's my on-brand shirt. Don't you love it? Body energetics. I have so much to say. And so I have to do these podcasts. Like, I feel like I have to. I cannot function if I do not tell you what it is like to feel good in my body and what I want to impart on you on a regular basis so that you can really know that whatever transformation that you want to make, whether it's in your health or whether it's in your aesthetic, you can do it. And the blocks and the reason why it's not happening to you or for you is mostly energetic. It's mostly mental, emotional mechanics behind the scenes. So I want to share with you from a lifetime of not feeling good emotionally and a lifetime of not feeling good physically in my body, that I want to share with you what it's like to be on the other side of it and like, give you all of my vibes so that you can start to feel that way when you're listening to this. And then also have my perspective of how I have an internal experience so that my external is always changing. It's always shifting. So today we're talking about how to stop feeling insecure. And honestly, like this came up because that is how I was feeling in the last probably 20 hours. It's 10 a.m. on Monday. And I started to feel kind of down last night. And I was like doing, like just doing a little check-in. And I'm like, okay, well, my period is in 2 days. I know my hormones are shifting. I don't have the same hormone profile as I do, a week ago when I was feeling more in my power. Okay, what else happened? I went out to dinner last night for my brother's birthday and I ate food that I usually don't eat. I ate cheese, I ate bread. I mean, I eat bread occasionally, but like I stay away from cheese. The most of my dairy product is just half and half in my coffee. So I'm like, okay, I ate deli meat on the charcuterie board. I had berries, I had dried berries, which is on my harmful list for hepatonia. I didn't have a lot, but I'm like, okay, I had cheese. I had deli meats that had a whole bunch of salt in them. I had dried berries. I had a steak and I ate the whole 8 ounces of steak because it was freaking delicious. And I had room in my stomach. I didn't stuff myself, but I definitely enjoyed it. And it has some like really fatty sauce on top of it. So I'm going through, okay, I have different food in my system that I'm not normally eating. And when I don't know if you've tried this, if you've cut out sugar or you've cut out carbs, you've cut out gluten or something, you've cut out some inflammatory foods. When you eat an inflammatory food after it's been out of your system, it'll kind of make you feel funny. I kind of feel fuzzy. I kind of feel like I don't quite see right. I kind of feel like I'm not thinking clearly. And so I had these like low grade reactions to it. And I had done work on my business and I had challenged myself in a conversation about my business of how can I make this energetic stuff more simple? How do I refine this? How do I take 12 years of inner work, 20 years of a career, a lifetime of feeling like crap and doing personal development? How do I whittle it down into diet, exercise, hydration? Like how do I do that? And so I had a lot of stuff going on and I found myself kind of feeling down. And then I did my programming at night. I did my subconscious programming. If you're in finally the 21-day group program that's in my free group, I talk about the subconscious programming and my statements are, I am perfect health. I am overflowing abundance. And wherever I hit a threshold where I'm stuck on something in real life, where I'm pushing through an edge, I'm trying to figure something out, I program my mind with that also. And so some of the programming last night when I went to bed was, I can do this. I can figure out how to explain this simply so people can get results. Like that was some of my programming. And so at night, what happens, and I talk about this also in finally the 21-day program that we're in right now, I talk about how we can observe our dreams as they're happening. And so I had this dream. And it was with this kind of like, Instagram famous woman who's pretty wealthy. And I had an interaction with her on the internet years ago where she, we had a DM relationship to a degree. And I sent her a message and she screenshot it. And it was about relationships because she was talking about her relationship status and how she was screwing it up. And so I sent her a DM thinking it was totally fine to participate in this because she was posting it in her story saying, oh, the book attached really helped me. So she took that screenshot and posted it in her stories to be like, how dare somebody give me advice? And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I thought the point of sharing in your stories was to have conversations with people. And it really hurt my feelings. It really pissed me off. I took myself off her email list. I wrote her an email and was like, I'm actually a paying customer of yours. And we've had a conversation before. This really sucks. So that woman I dreamed about. And in the dream, let me see if I can remember exactly what it was, because when I realized it was actually an answer to what I had programmed my mind with. I kind of let the dream go and got to the point where I was like, oh, this is about self-worth. This is about judgment. Because in the dream, she did something to where I was like, whoa, like we were together in real life. And I was like, you're not better than me. You're not on a pedestal. There's nothing, no. And then I saw her like go into her camera and like film with her man and stuff. And I was like, are you recording about this right now? And we got into this kind of like a little tiff, and she kind of blew me off. And I was like, no, wait a minute. You don't actually get to act like you're better than me with whatever it was. And I'm like, I totally forget what the instant was, but it was like I was fighting with her in my dream. And when I woke up, I was like, well, this bitch, you know? But then when I was processing the dream, I was like, oh no, this is about how we feel insecure, because we're actually having a judgment thing of I'm not good enough, because we're perceiving something on the outside as the measuring stick. And so some of the things, I got to the gym and I was on the treadmill and I pulled out my notes, and some of the things that I wrote down of like feeling insecure, like that dream was for me. Like for me to get better at explaining what my internal world feels like and how it feels so good, and how that energizes my ability to follow through with my diet and exercise and self-care, and how I'm using the same things that I learned to get my body healthy. I'm using those same things to program myself for my business. Right? Because like I invested a lot of money last year to learn how to scale my business and take a 20-year career and break it up into piecemeals so that people can get the results that they're after in like one little area or that little area if they don't want to do a full 12 months with me, right? So it's like I'm pushing these edges of how do I get really clear? And in my brain, a lot of times when I get insecure, I'm thinking, I'm fucking this up. I'm not doing a good job. There's other people in fitness that get people faster results or better results or whatever it is. And I always have to return back to, I have mastered the internal world. I'm an energetic person. I have a different scope and looking at how the mental and emotional energetics work within the programming of society with status, within the programming of relationships with acceptance, within the programming with our parents that results in self-love. So it's like, right? Like I can't compare myself to other fitness people because I'm doing something different in the fitness world. I'm using the diet, the exercise, and the food as the trigger for us to understand what energetics, what things we need to unload. And so this is a totally different approach than what's been done before. So in my dream, when I was like really processing this, I was like, okay, this was about me feeling insecure and incompetent and being nervous about, can I actually present this body of work, this body energetics to the world? So some of the things that I started to write down when I was feeling my own insecurity of my deliverable is insecurity feels unsure, that there's no guarantee. And did I fuck it up? Those are the things that we're thinking when we're thinking about, I'm going to go start this diet. I'm going to start a 21-day challenge. I'm going to join a boot camp. It's like, there is no guarantee because life happens, illnesses happen, and our own self-belief and self-doubt spectrum influences our ability to change our schedule and change our relationships and make the choices that are going to support this new healthy body that we're after. The other questions, am I doing it right? Will it work? Doubt. Am I good enough to be in this room, in this class? Like how many times like do you show up places and you're like, oh my gosh, you feel like you're the smallest person in the room. One of the things that I learned last year from my mentors is that a person who shows up seemingly the least obvious to be in that room is actually the bravest person in the room. So I joined a mastermind that cost $10,000 and it was for 8 weeks. And in the room, I knew I was the person making the least amount of money. And because I heard that about being brave, I felt good being in the room thinking I'm the bravest person here because I'm the person who belongs here the least. And so we have to think about that stuff. If we don't feel good, like if you go to a gym and like everybody's really ripped, or there's like a lot of bodybuilders there, like how intimidating is that to walk into a gym like that when you still got your first 30 pounds to lose? You know, like that stuff is hard, but you're the bravest person in there, right? A lot of people who are really muscular and who are in bodybuilding, they've already started with quote unquote good genetics. They've already started with a foundational level of being a child athlete. They've got a lifetime of integration of what it is to show up and be confident in your body. So we've got to like remember these things when we're feeling insecure. Some of the other things was, you know, do I belong in this conversation? Do I have something to add? Is this person better than me? So it's like, you know, when I start to compare myself, like I'll compare myself to a fitness person where I'm like, well, I'm not ripped yet. And I don't have 100 clients who went from obesity to being chiseled. Am I good enough? Then I'll go look at the spiritual community and be like, oh my gosh, well, this person reads the Akashic records. This person does energy updates. This person knows astrology like the back of their hand. This person has psychic abilities to like speak to his person's pain and transmute them and heal them and do all those things. I can't do that stuff either. But I can explain mechanics of it. I can explain to you how I look at an emotion as a range of possibility and how I tweak it and how I change things that I'm doing to enhance a feeling. So it's like, you know, we can't compare to what someone else is doing when they're in their power, because we have our own power system and we have our own energetic that we're plugging into the planet and that we're plugging into people. So it's like, we can't get into that. It's just not, it's not helpful for anyone. So for me, insecurity is self-doubt, and we learn self-trust by trying and failing. And that's what builds the confidence. And so I want to say that again, that insecurity is self-doubt, and we learn self-doubt. This is a learned mechanic that we have in our mind-body connection that comes from the early childhood programming or a significant emotional event. And so if we can look at these two things, that the early childhood programming is where we're just a sponge and we're soaking in everything. The environment, which translates to our status with our finance and our social status. We're learning from our peers. How do we need to be to fit into the peer group? Do they say we're too much and we need to suppress? Do they say we're not enough? And so then we try to overdo. We learn the programming in this 0 to 7 by how our parents treat us. We require the perfect unconditional love relationship from our parents so that we know what romantic love is, for the physical union between a life partnership, and also the union within the self, because our conscious mind is the masculine energetics and the subconscious mind is the feminine energetics. What do we do when we have a sperm and an egg? We have a new being. We have to have not gender, but energetic principle alignment of masculine and feminine energy united within us in order for us to have the sense of wholeness, to crush self-doubt, to move through self-doubt, knowing that we can do it. And so we're looking at how this stuff gets broken apart, and I'm looking at sharing with you how I've built myself back up to be able to navigate the emotions that come with being human and the self-doubt that come with being human, and how we push forward to doing the things necessary for our growth to meet that resistance and meet those broken parts of us so that we can repair them and get stronger. That's how we're going to build the confidence. So I have 4 points to share with you, and then we're going to hop off. Number 1 is that this is a game of laying bricks. I wish I could give you an inside view of my brain, because my brain is thinking in video games and it's thinking in movies. Something happens, I feel a sensation, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just like this. And we all have a just like this in our mental, emotional, in our mind-body connection. That's the meaning our brain has given about feelings. We mostly operate from a disempowered place, because memorizing what is a disempowering feeling is what keeps us alive on a primal level. So for me, I'm looking at Super Mario Brothers. We're laying bricks. I don't think there's anything in Super Mario Brothers that they're actually laying bricks. But if you go back to the 80s video game and you think about the bricks and where you jump up and you hit your head, the bricks fall apart. This is what my mind sees when I'm talking about building security and self-confidence. Every action that we do is building a brick in the dimensions. So the dimensions are more of a sphere than they are a ladder rung. Okay, so we're in this multidimensional universe. Our minds mostly think linear, A plus B plus C plus D. We go like this. It's 1991, 92, 93, 94, 95. We go in a straight line. But the dimensions and the energetics are not a straight line. They are condensed or they are expansive. And so the dimensions are regulated by the emotions. So if we are in sadness or disappointment, that is a restricted low frequency type. When we are in joy and love, we are in an expanded, open energetic. We're higher. We're in a higher vibration, but it's not high from top to bottom. It's high as expansion. Because when we're high as an expansive person or an expansive mindset, we're able to take the blows with a grain of salt because it's such an expansive view of everything instead of just this one little thing that's hurting my feelings, that's making me not want to follow through. So every time we lay a brick by hitting our hydration goals of having a half a gallon to a gallon of water, 2 liters to 4 liters of water every single day. We lay a brick by saying we're going to walk for 20 minutes every single day. We lay a brick by saying I'm going to lift weights a couple days a week. We lay a brick by going to bed at a decent time and not watching shit TV before we fall asleep. We lay a brick by doing brain and heart coherence breathing for 3 minutes and just inhaling and exhaling for 5 seconds at a time. We lay bricks. That is how we build the confidence. And when we have the resistance that we don't want to lay the brick that day, that's where we have to face. Where is it in status, the finance and social status, my environment, that I'm not feeling worthy enough to follow through for myself? And whatever it is that I'm choosing over this brick, why is that thing more important than me? We meet the resistance when we're looking at the acceptance. Is it too much? Like if I show up all the way, like if I get really hot and I'm smart, is that going to be too much? Am I being enough? Is there something in me that like low key, like I'm not like really into that. I don't really give a fuck about that area, but because I'm a people pleaser and I don't feel good enough, I'm going to go do this thing instead of take care of my body. Right? If someone gives you shit because they're like, oh no, you should go out to dinner with me and have drinks because I'm having a bad day and this is how I'm going to feel better. When you're like, I'm sorry, drinks and talking shit aren't going to make me feel better. I can't. That not enough comes up. When we lay a brick and we hit the resistance about self-love, when we just stop. The opposite of love is indifference, not fear, not hate, indifference. It's worse than fear or hate. So if we get into a point where we're apathetic to what we need, that we require water, we require a good night rest, we require to tune into our heart. If you become indifferent to the brick, why do you have a mental emotional identity that says that you're not worth love, that you're not worth being taken care of? That's where we do the work. So if we work through that indifference to be able to have the self-love, if we work through the self-acceptance of being too much or not enough, if we work through the worthiness of status, then we can lay these bricks all the time and keep our body moving forward. And so when I'm looking at these bricks, I'm looking at everything that we're doing, especially when we hit a block, is that we're on different levels and trials in the hero's journey. So if we're on this journey, right, like, and I've got this background here on purpose because this is also how it is in my internal world that keeps me going, that we have the dark womb of the mother. We have the black negative space in which the light gets to go forth. We are the light. We are the becoming. We are the thing that gets to be born and create what we want to experience. But it's like the planet, the full energetics, right? So it's like, here's how I think of like part of like the game is that we're in a system of good and evil. Evil, when you reverse it, is live. So if we have energy that says live, that's of growth, this goes into your hormones. This goes into the expansion, like we just talked about, that the field gets bigger. You don't shrink. So when we're in live energy, in live energy, we're doing what we came here to do. But because there's victimization and perpetrators and bad guys, it's not just the victims, the victimizers and the perpetrators in real life. If someone did harm to us physically or mentally, we have spiritual harm. We have beings that we cannot see. Some people call them jinns. Some people call them demons. Some people call them different alien names. Like there are energetic beings and energetic systems that cause us to perceive that it's just a shitstorm here. So the hero's journey is also not just what you're doing in physical, but can you mentally and emotionally on the energetic side keep your head straight to understand that some of these blocks that we get into, this resistance that we feel when we sabotage or we can't follow through, actually don't have anything to do with us on a personal level. They're just part of the game of Earth. They're just part of good and evil. And so we can look at these things as like lust and money and greed. Like lust goes with sex, which is beautiful. Greed goes with money, which gives us a beautiful lifestyle. So we can look at every single construct, how it has energetics of live energy and energetics of evil energy, and how that makes us energetically feel a certain way that then our mind makes mean about us. So if you're not making a boatload of money every single month, there's going to be a feeling of unworthiness. There's going to be a feeling of judgment that the people who do have money are greedy and they must have done something evil to get there, because we know evil exists within the construct of money. So do you see how like we get all wrapped up? We've created these stories and meanings when, yes, that's part of it. But if you can learn the rules of the game, you can play the game harder, faster, and you can go and you can live and you can enjoy. And so we can do this with other facets of life, with like if you spend too much money, if you're addicted to shopping, we're doing it here with body energetics to understand the 3D aspect of the body energetics, which is your diet, your exercise, and your self-care. So then we can look at the constructs and how the development and how the relationship and how we're showing up for ourselves and how we're showing up in community and how we're judging ourselves and feeling secure or insecure are energetically within us. Because if we can actually look at these things head on and understand what they are, then it's like the guesswork is out of, why can't I follow through? The guesswork is out of, I've been killing myself at the gym 5 days a week for an hour at a time, and I still don't have any muscle tone. What the actual fuck? So there's things that we're not doing because we don't have the education for them. There's also things that we're not doing because that's an energetic block to not allow the right information to come in to follow through. Because if somebody said, I'm working out 5 days a week for an hour at a time and I don't have muscle tone, my questions would be, how many hours a night do you sleep? Oh, I sleep 5 hours. There it is. You're not giving your body any time to regenerate hormonally and secrete growth hormone while you sleep so that you can feel better. How much water are you drinking? I think I drink about like 2 water bottles. The rest I drink coffee and iced tea. Okay, well, you're not giving your kidneys any fluid to clean your system. Okay, what else? Well, how much protein are you eating? Well, I have like a protein shake and it has like 24 grams of protein. I usually have that after I work out, and then like I'll have a sandwich, and then like maybe for dinner I'll have some sushi. Okay, so you're probably getting about 70 grams of protein. It's probably why you're not having any results. So there are things that are very simple that the information is out there on Google, but you have not figured out to look it up because there's an emotional block. There's an energetic block that is of indifference. So it's not like a lot of these emotions are always like, have to be so touchy-feely and so inner child thing. They're a mechanic. An emotion is a mechanic in the dimensions that allow you to think more clearly. So if you have more buried stuff because of your life experience or because of the bullshit that you're watching or the bullshit relationships that you have that keep you in vibrations that are more compressed, like sadness and disappointment, shame and guilt, indifference, there's legitimately, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this, you actually don't have the ability to think creatively. So if you don't have the ability to think creatively because your energetics are so low, unconsciously, this is all buried, suppressed shit, how are you going to call in resources to help you? You can't. It's illegal. It doesn't work with the laws of the universe. So every time we feel insecure and we lay a brick, we do the walk, we drink the water, we get the protein in, we lift a few weights, we build the confidence because we're learning that we're building the confidence because that wall, like our actual wall of like whatever it is that we're building with these bricks, gets to go up and you're like, wow, look at this beautiful thing that I built. You feel proud, you feel accomplished, you feel satisfied, you feel grateful. You get interaction from other people being like, whoa, how did you do that? You build connection, you build acceptance, you build a sense of feeling worth because you have something on your journey to share with other people so that they can get to where they want to go if they just have a conversation with you to grasp your mindset. How did you do it? How did you follow through? How did you get that idea? And we're doing that and we're getting more confident because we're just doing the thing. We have to do the thing. We can't feel the resistance and say, oh, I have to do more inner child work. No, you have to do the thing. Doing the thing is what's going to carry you through. And I'm just thinking in my head right now, like when I would hear stuff like that and I was in chronic pain, I had this conversation with someone who I don't think he got drafted to be a professional basketball player. I think actually maybe he did, but then he had a back injury and then he couldn't actually play. And this was in 2017. And I thought that I was going to take 4 months to heal my neck. You want to know why? This is so bad. Because in Isagenix, a multi-level marketing company that I was a part of, they had a 4-month transformation. And I was like, well, if people can transform their body in 4 months with weight loss, I can transform my body. I can heal my body in 4 months. So I announced on my podcast, Love is a Verb podcast, I'm taking 4 months off because I had to take a break of looking down and had to take a break of sitting and all these things. I thought in 4 months, my neck was going to be fine. It was not fine in 4 months. And I had this conversation with this person who had a bad back injury. And I was like, I'm having the hardest time working out. Lat pull downs, just pulling the bar down would give me a flare. I was never really out of pain. It would just make the pain even worse. And I was so frustrated because it was like, he was like, you just have to keep pushing yourself. You have to keep pushing yourself. And I would be like, how do you push yourself when you're in pain? Well, you push yourself when you're in pain because you have to do the mental emotional work because we have proof that physical pain, unless there's broken tissue or unless there's a missing gene, it's coming from a mental emotional psychosomatic division. Emotions secrete from your brain, from the subconscious mind. It's mental. Mental emotional is mental. It is the masculine energetics of this is what I want. And it is the feminine energetics of this is who it is. This is the container in which you're working with. We have to change the container of our mind, that female energetics, the dark womb, the negative space. Remember what I always say, when you're making a ceramic mug, you could have the negative plaster that you pour the ceramic into to then let the ceramic dry, to then paint it and fire it. And now you have the positive mug from the negative plaster mold. That's the feminine energetic. So whatever that negative plaster mold is, that is going to be the expression of what your thought is. So if your thought is, I want to be healthy and hot, but your negative mold is, I am not that, I'm unhealthy, I feel like shit, I'm not worth anything, my body's not right, I hate myself, I'm not good enough, people think I'm weird, I'm too much, my personality, what it's important to me, nobody likes. If that's what's the negative plaster of your feminine energetics, that is the quality of your desire that's going to come out. Does that make sense? The emotions determine the quality of our thoughts, because we can all think, I want to be healthy and hot. We can all think, I want to be financially free. We can all think, I want to travel. But if you've got this like low vibe stuff in your mold, travel might not happen, or you might have delayed flights and lost luggage, because this always happens to me. Do you see what I'm saying? The emotions, when we are able to finesse them and caress them and transmute them and change them and alchemize the stuff that doesn't feel good and enhance the things that does feel good, the quality of our thoughts, the experience of the quality of our thoughts and the quality of our body gets better, because it's becoming an energetic match within. So I hope this was okay. I mean, I just like went off. We're about 40 minutes in. I started a little bit late because my client session and we kind of had an issue getting onto Zoom. So this should be pretty damn good. This should be really inspiring. I hope this really helps you. Oh yeah, we're 37 minutes in. Awesome. Really helps you feel that shifting into security is a possibility for you. It is such a possibility for you. I have felt so shitty. I've always felt like the odd person in the room. Always. I have never felt good enough. And to not live like that anymore, and then to actually be healthy and feel good in my body and not always have a headache and not always have my neck out, and not always have my shoulders so tight, and to be able to move my body and exercise the way I do now. I laugh so hard when I'm working out, because I'm not even thinking something really funny. I just start to laugh. And I think it's just, that's the feeling that is now internally of joy, that, oh my God, I can move. And I can feel good. And I don't feel like the worst person in the room. And I'm able to follow through and make these choices for my body. And I'm able to recognize when I feel like shit and not make it mean anything. So you're welcome. This all stemmed from the weekend and how I was feeling and how I programmed my subconscious mind before I went to bed, the dream that I had, how I was waking up this morning, how I was feeling, of how do we move through it? What am I actually feeling right now? What was I feeling insecure about? What could I name these emotions? And when I think to feeling insecure, what are the things that I think of that get me through it? What's my natural operation? It's laying bricks. It's understanding that the emotions are dimensional, that they expand or compress. It's pushing through, it's going forward, it's doing the thing. That's what builds the confidence, because that doing the thing is what helps us alchemize the negative emotions. When we can actually see with clear, grown up, conscious eyes, I am not worthless, I am not insecure, I am not going to be indifferent to my body. I'm going to love myself, I'm going to accept myself, and I'm going to feel a sense of worthiness first for me on the inside. And those feelings, those mental and emotional states compound and become you as you lay the bricks. Okay. I love you. We're going to be here tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Jump into my Facebook page so that we can have conversations. I would love to do hot seat coaching when we have a topic that's important to you. Head over to my Instagram. It's Lauren Cercione, because on Mondays and Tuesdays, I put in a little sticker to ask questions if you know you can't make it live, or you could always send me a DM and I can address a question on a show. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please share it on social media and tag me at It's Lauren Saracione and at Queen Bold EQ. You can just search my name, Lauren Saracione, on the IG, and you should find both of those handles, no problem. I'm going to leave you with a few little snippets of the ladies who were in the very first Queen's Gambit with me. The Queen's Gambit is my year-long transformation where I give you all the coaching you need for mindset, emotions, habits, diet, exercise, and self-care.
First of all, thank you for just giving of yourself and allowing us to be in this space today. That's been really amazing to just see like how much you're giving to us. So thank you for that.
Because I'm not gonna go shame myself anymore. I'm not gonna go fucking judge myself. I'm fucking over it. I'm so fucking done with that old game. It's just an old game. I'm not gonna play anymore.
Adding upper body has actually been really good. I enjoy it because I've always been so scared of it.
The energetic stuff like has been really great for me because I think that's like what my like soul was craving. Like I've been wanting to know more, but like where do I start? So this has been super great.
New identity, new person, new body.
And it was like, I could never get past certain plateaus, but this makes so much sense.
Exercises go really well. It's so much fun to have finally a gym.
I remember because it was so significant to me. That was after COVID. It was really difficult for me to go back because I had gained weight. I felt really heavy after having been lighter and through COVID and not working out. That day was really nice because you like encouraged me to like continue. When you told me, you're like, you're strong, sweetie, like you can go heavy, and I was like, really? That like helped me just kind of develop that confidence.
And I'm like, well, I'm gonna take responsibility for the mistake, but I'm not gonna like shaming or blaming or judging. It's not gonna help me take the responsibility. It just makes it like harder. So why the F should I like make it hard for yourself? Come on.